What's something you saw as a kid but didn't realize was messed up until you were older? Every Saturday, my dad would take me to help him at different houses around town. I was maybe 7 and thought it was the coolest thing ever. We had this whole routine. He'd park a block away and we'd walk up to these nice houses. Dad would ring the doorbell, and when someone answered, he'd smile and say, "Gas company, routine inspection." People always let us in. Dad would send me to play in the living room while he checked the basement. I'd watch cartoons or color while he worked downstairs with his toolbox. The weird part was how he always knew exactly which houses to visit. He'd drive around neighborhoods for hours, taking notes about which driveways were empty, which mailboxes were full. He had this little leather notebook where he'd write down everything. Blue Honda gone by 8 a.m., mail piling up since Tuesday, dog barks when strangers approach back door. I thought he was just really thorough at his job. Some houses he'd mark with a gold star sticker. Those were our special visits where I'd get extra ice cream after. Looking back, those starred houses always had the nicest stuff. Massive flat screen TVs, expensive looking jewelry boxes sitting on dressers that I'd see while coloring on their fancy coffee tables. The homeowners were always so incredibly trusting. "Oh, gas inspection. Of course, come right in. Can I get you gentlemen some coffee?" They'd offer us homemade cookies and ask about my school, my favorite subjects, what grade I was in. I'd chat away excitedly about my teacher, Mrs. Peterson, while Dad disappeared downstairs with his official-looking clipboard and toolbox. He even had a fake ID badge that looked completely legitimate. I remember being so proud when people would comment on what a polite, well-behaved son he had. "You're raising him right," they'd say, and Dad would beam with pride. After each house, we'd stop for ice cream, and Dad would give me $5 in crisp bills. Our little secret adventure. He'd wink. I thought I was the luckiest kid alive getting paid to hang out with my dad. Sometimes we'd drive past houses we'd visited weeks later. Dad would slow down and point out new security system signs that weren't there before, or additional locks on doors, motion sensor lights. People are getting smarter about protecting their homes, he'd mutter, but I didn't understand why that made him seem worried. There was this one house where the lady had the most beautiful Persian cat. I spent the whole visit playing with it while Dad did his inspection. She gave me cookies shaped like cats and told me I could visit at any time. 2 weeks later, we drove past and there were broken windows covered with plywood. This went on for 2 years until one Saturday, we pulled up to a familiar house and there were police cars everywhere. Dad's face went completely white. He grabbed my hand tight and we walked away quickly, taking the long way back to our car. "Why are there so many cops, Dad?" I asked, confused. "Sometimes bad things happen to good people, buddy," he said, but his hands were shaking as he started the engine. That night, Mom was crying in the kitchen. I could hear them arguing in hushed, angry whispers. Dad got arrested the next week. I spent years thinking he just lost his job at the gas company. Mom told me he had to go away for work training and would be back soon. I kept asking when we could do our Saturday inspection adventures again. She just hugged me and changed the subject. 20 years later, I was watching a crime documentary about a notorious serial burglar who operated in suburban neighborhoods during the late 90s. The criminal used his young son as cover to case houses and gain homeowners' trust. The method was identical. Father-son team, fake gas company inspections, targeting wealthy neighborhoods during weekday hours when families were at work or kids were at school. The ice cream suddenly made perfect, horrible sense. Dad used me as his perfect disguise. Nobody suspects the father-son team doing legitimate gas inspections. Those gold star stickers in his notebook, houses worth robbing later. The basement checks, scouting for valuables, security systems, and exit routes. My innocent chatter about school kept homeowners distracted upstairs while he memorized their home layouts. The fake ID badge probably cost him $50 at a print shop. I was his unwitting accomplice for 2 years, helping him rob dozens of families. The documentary mentioned the burglar was finally caught when he returned to a previously cased house. Exactly what happened to us that Saturday with all the police cars. He'd gotten greedy and went back too soon. I called Mom that night, hands shaking. Through tears, she confirmed everything. Dad served 8 years in state prison. The families he robbed, some lost irreplaceable heirlooms, wedding rings, family photos, children's savings accounts, things that could never be replaced.